Hello, everyone. My name is Leo. I'm a sophomore here at the School of Nursing.
Hello, my name is Mark, and I'm a senior.
Today, we have our very special guest, Dr. Ernest Grant, who is, I just want to thank him for coming on and inspiring our School of Nursing community here at Rutgers. Dr. Grant, if you don't mind, I'll read a short bio and then we can get into some questions.
Certainly.
We're happy to introduce today Dr. Ernest Grant, who is currently the Vice Dean for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the Duke University School of Nursing. He is also the immediate past president of the American Nurses Association, the nation's largest nurses organization, representing the interests of the 4.3 million registered nurses across the U.S. He is the first man and third African American to be elected as the president of the American Nurses Association in its nearly 130 years of existence.
A distinguished leader, Dr. Grant has more than 30 years of nursing experience and is an internationally recognized burn care and fire safety expert. He also serves as adjunct faculty for the UNC Chapel Hill School of Nursing, where he works with undergraduate and graduate nursing students in the classroom and clinical setting. For the past 4 years in a row, Dr. Grant has been recognized by Modern Healthcare magazine as one of 50 influential clinical executives in healthcare and as one of 100 most influential people in healthcare. He has been nationally recognized for his work addressing racism, equity, and inclusion within the nursing profession. In 2002, President George W. Bush presented Dr. Grant with a Nurse of the Year award for his work treating burn victims from the World Trade Center site. He was inducted as a fellow into the American Academy of Nursing in 2011, and Dr. Grant holds a BSN degree from North Carolina Central University and an MSN and PhD degree from University of North Carolina at Greensboro.
Again, Dr. Grant, thank you for coming on, and we're thrilled to have you here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm extremely excited to have this dialogue with you guys.
Yes, sir. We initially met you while attending the Men in Nursing conferences, and given your identity as a male nurse, we originally hoped you would speak with the members of our Men in Nursing chapter. But given that February is just around the corner, we hope you'll speak to our entire student body about your experiences as an African American nurse and healthcare leader. So, Dr. Grant, should we get right into the questions?
Absolutely.
First question, how has your experience as an African American male nurse influenced your career and shaped your perspective on the nursing profession?
That's a really great question. I think, first of all, being not only a male, but an African American male, sort of, puts you outside of the norm, if you will. Most people, when they think of a nurse, they think of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, female. So over the years, and as you mentioned in my introduction, I've been in the profession for a long, long time. But over the years, there's been a lot of hurdles and stereotypes to have to overcome. And so what I see that I've done is sort of blaze a trail for men, no matter what their ethnicity may be, who are coming after me to get the nursing profession more accepting of men within the profession. When I started, there was probably the number of males within the profession was probably around 3%, and that was in the mid 70s. Now, depending on who you read, we're anywhere from 12 to maybe 15%. So that's a significant increase. But being a Black male, one of the groups that I belong to, Black men probably make up maybe 1 to 2% of the 4.5 million registered nurses that are practicing out there. So you can see that we still have quite a way to go, but we are making changes. And one of my favorite mottos, if you will, to say is that I'm a firm believer that nursing should be reflective of the people that we care for. And when you consider that half of the population is male, then I would think that there would be a greater number of males within the nursing profession as well as ethnic minorities also. And that's been one of my mantras and one of my goals and objectives throughout my whole nursing career is to get more men and ethnic minorities to come into the nursing profession.
Thank you for that perspective, Dr. Grant. You definitely have been a trailblazer, and we've seen so much change happen along the years. You being the first male and third African American president of the American Nurses Association, and among all the other accolades that you've achieved, how do you feel achieving these historic milestones, and what has your journey been like as a minority leader in nursing?
Well, I feel really great to have had the opportunity to broke the glass ceiling of the good old girls club, if you will. As I jokingly tell people, it only took 122 years for that to happen, but I'm glad that it happened, and I hope and pray that I am not the only one. I hope, again, as I mentioned earlier, that I have blazed a trail for, and hopefully will live to see another male serve as president of the American Nurses Association as well. That being said, I realized that I was under the microscope, more so with a lot more scrutiny, perhaps even if it were a white male who had been elected as well. Every move, every uh, I guess perhaps memo or comments that you may have made would have been scrutinized. And of course, I was president during a very challenging time. COVID had struck, and so to get the attention of the nation's not only the nation's nurses, but the people of the country as well, to educate them, and would they listen to a Black man telling them that you need to get the COVID vaccine or other, take other protective measures to help reduce the spread of the virus. Those are some very challenging times, but I felt blessed that I was able to rise to the challenge. And it wasn't just me. There was a whole team of us who were working, and I like to give credit that there is no I in team. If it wasn't for the board that I had, if it wasn't for the staff at the American Nurses Association as well, that I work very closely with, those are things that made my presidency such a success. When you consider all the challenges that was being faced, in the country at that particular time.
Thank you for your sharing your powerful journey, Dr. Grant. To add on to that, with nursing traditionally being a female-dominated field, how can we further advocate for increased diversity, particularly encouraging more men and people of color to join the profession?
That's a really great question. And as I stated before, my mantra, nursing should be reflective of the people that we care for. So I think as men in the nursing profession, we need to model ourselves and get it out there to where it is more acceptable. When I assumed the presidency of ANA, I had 6 goals in mind. And one of those goals was to increase the presence of men within the profession. And the way that I was going to achieve that goal was I'd begun to have dialogues with the Boys and Girls Club of America. And part of that strategy was to have the local chapters invite men who are nurses to come in and talk to young boys and girls, and talk about what it means to be a nurse, and also let them know that nursing is everywhere. We're not just in the acute care setting, but we're out there in the community. I know nurses who work for NASA. I know nurses who have their own, business. Nurses who are research scientists, and et cetera. So to plant that idea that if a young boy saw someone who looked like them and would say, well, hey, if he can be a nurse, why can't I? That really would go a very long way. So I think, again, it goes back to what I stated earlier, modeling the behavior that we would like for those who are coming behind us to see. Going into, well, actually, high school is a little too late to start that. We really need to start in middle school. Another organization that I belong to, we have actually adopted the 3rd grade class of a elementary school here. And, I go in, as often as I can, try to at least once or twice a month. And what we do is we help those young kids with reading, tutoring, or with math, or if we find that they need, clothes or paper supplies or things like that, we provide that. What I'm hoping that we're doing is not only one, when they see me, and even though I'm sitting down, you may not realize, but I'm 6'6". So, so hopefully, a little kid will say, "Well, gosh, if that tall guy can be a nurse, why can't I?" Or if they begin to think about their career, maybe they will think, "Hey, it was a nurse that helped me to read, or it was a nurse who helped me to understand math. Maybe I should look into that profession, because you really do make a difference for mankind all the way around." But so again, just planting that idea that nursing is everywhere, and it's not necessarily that you're in you are at the local hospital, but you're all everywhere where there's people, there is a nurse. And I also like to say that there is no health or health care without nurses as well. So again, just planting that seed there.
It's funny that you mentioned planting the seed, because Leo and I recently, we've been working with a high school here in Newark, and we've been kind of introducing the nursing field to them. So thank you for that insight. And yeah, that work is definitely important.
Mhm.
And that's what me and Leo both to do. We both strive to do in the Men in Nursing chapter that we have at Rutgers here. We're always trying to promote more inclusion and more activity from the men and from the minorities. So thank you for that.
Yeah, great.
We're eager to learn more about your dedication to promoting diversity within the nursing profession and your efforts to engage young nursing professionals, especially African American men. What motivates you in this work, and what impact do you hope to achieve?
Well, what motivates me is to know that the more men that we get there, the more African Americans, the more ethnic or other ethnic and minority groups as well, they are going to be reflective of society. And also, we know that it helps to promote better patient outcomes, because as nurses, we're advocates, right? So if you are sick and you're in a hospital for the very first time in your life, I'll reflect back, to some 40 some odd years ago when I was a new nurse. And I remember this 80-some-year-old lady that just got admitted to the floor that I was working on. Now, this was her first time ever being hospitalized. And I remember walking by her room, and dietary had came in about 15 or 20 minutes earlier, and they had set her lunch tray on the overbed table. And I lifted up the tray to see if she had finished eating, and it was still there. And I said, "Well, are you hungry?" And she says, "Yes, I'm starving to death." And I said, "Well, here's your lunch. Why didn't you eat it?" And she says, "Well, I didn't realize that that's what that was, and I didn't realize that they actually fed you here at this hospital." So I had to tell her that yes, we do feed you. You can get 3 meals a day or more, but it's like she had to have permission. And the fact that someone, seeing someone who looked like her, who could explain to her how this is how you navigate the healthcare system, if you will, it made it less intimidating for her. Again, it's a great way that if I see someone who looks like me and who understands my culture, who's going to advocate or maybe explain to members of the healthcare team, from my culture or from this person's culture, this is how we address illness or how we view illness or whatever. People will be able to understand, or other things that we as nurses would traditionally do as well. When um, nurses, or excuse me, when patients are explained, this is what's wrong with you, this is the plan of care, and et cetera. And do you understand? Well, they may not understand, when we think about health literacy. So, our job obviously is to, ask that patient, did you understand what was said to you? And, because you have that bond with the patient, they probably are going to say, no, I didn't. So it's our duty to go back and say, hey, wait a minute, guys, you need to go back in and talk to this person again, because they did not quite understand what you were saying. So, just knowing that people from all different ethnicities and how they interact with healthcare, or how they may view healthcare, knowing that you see someone who looks like you really does put your mind at ease, and they can, even upon discharge teaching or something like that, you're probably going to get better patient compliance and better patient outcomes because they listened to you because you were one of them. And so you've got that trust that's already been established.
Yeah, and they're definitely more likely to advocate for themselves if they see
Oh,
you
absolutely.
advocating for them. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Yes,
Mhm.
representation is very important. Um, Dr. Grant, can you talk more about the anti-racism work that you do in the nursing field and how that can be implemented in the university setting?
Absolutely. So, this is something I've been working on actually since I became a nurse, some 40 odd years ago. But the work is extremely important in that we need to make sure that everyone has equal access to healthcare. And I'm sure we have all have seen some form of the uh, equity, equality, and inclusion, if you will, and knowing that how we need to understand that what may be equity and equality are a little bit different. Equality would be that we all, the picture of the three people standing at the fence looking over at the baseball game. Well, equality could be that everybody stands on a stool, but that young person is still looking at the fence. They're not really. But the equality of it is that, yeah, everybody's equal because we are all, standing on that stool. Whereas equity could be that the short person may need three stools to stand on in order to do that. So doing the work there to get people to understand that there a long history of ethnic and minority individuals being discriminated against or facing racism. Again, it's part of who we are as an advocate to begin to call into question, uh, you know, if we truly are nurses and we truly do care about people like we say that we do, then we wouldn't be using our biases and things to automatically label someone just because they're coming into the emergency room at 10 o'clock at night. Um, you know, Maybe we should understand that this person had to work all day. And it was either, and if they missed a day of work, then perhaps they would be fired. And if they were fired, then they're not going to be able to pay their bills or put food on the table. So, yeah, the only option that they have is to use the emergency room because we think that a clinic should only be open from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And if this guy works 12-hour shifts, they're not going to be able to make those clinic hours. So so we're chiding them for using the emergency room as primary care, but we should be asking ourselves, why can't we have a clinic that opens up at 8 in the morning and stays open till 10 or 11 o'clock at night? Why can't we meet the patient's needs as opposed to their, requiring them to meet our needs? Is just another way of thinking of that. And when our colleagues begin to either do the zip code test or the wallet test or begin to label people, those are things that really calls into question, are we doing the right thing as nurses? Maybe we need, if I have colleagues that are doing that, I need to call them on the carpet about that because they don't know the experience of that person, and so to just automatically make assumptions is not a good thing to do. So recognizing that we all have our biases, but how we handle those biases really goes a very long way as well.
Absolutely. And there's so much work to be done. But you mentioned the importance of leadership in this work,
Mhm.
and that kind of transitions into our next question.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to nursing students and early career nurses who aspire to reach positions of leadership and create this change that you're talking about?
Well, just yesterday in one of the classes that I was teaching, which is actually a leadership class, um, I tried to stress to the students that every nurse at every level is a leader. It doesn't matter if you're at the bedside or if you are someone who is, out there involved in policy change and things of this sort. You are a leader. And another thing I told the students is I never want to hear them say, I am just a nurse, because to me, to be a nurse means that you are a superhero, and that means that you are um, gifted with a lot of assets that the average Joe out there does not have. And again, going back to my earlier statement, there's no health or healthcare without nurses. So, to continue to have that trust. But what I would tell new nurses as far as wanting to go into leadership and et cetera, start out by joining your state nurses association as well as ANA in your specialty organization and get involved. If you don't have a say in how your profession is governed, and that's done by joining those organizations, then someone who's far removed from nursing is going to be telling you how to do that. Now, we're the largest member of the healthcare profession worldwide, not just in the United States, but around the globe. Nursing is the largest member of the healthcare team, but yet we don't get the recognition that we should. And when we are counted in the room and board, but yet look at what we bring to the table. We spend as much time learning the profession. You're going to spend 4 years, to achieve a baccalaureate degree, and then probably another 2 to 3 to get a master's, and and so on and so forth. You spend just as much time as our physician colleagues, or some of our physical therapist colleagues, or occupational therapists, or respiratory therapists, but yet we're treated as a commodity instead of actually being able to bill for the services that we bring to the table. There's something wrong there. So we need to groom a bunch of nurse leaders to put their foot down and say, we are in charge of our profession, and we are a true profession because we have our own body of work, our own body of research. We have, our own governance structure, and so we meet all those definitions. But for some reason, we, when it comes to really true positions of leadership, actually making the decisions and et cetera, we sort of fall down on that. And so my goal is to challenge people such as yourselves who are going to be taking the reins of the profession to really function in a true leadership fashion, and actually take the reins of the profession and take it to the next level, to where we're filling that empty chair at the table, if you will, where decisions are being made. And I know I've been filling this conversation up with a bunch of euphemisms that I say, but another one of my favorite one is, if there's not a seat at the table, bring your own chair and make a seat, because people should not be making decisions about the nursing profession without a nurse being there. And it should be a nurse who is astute enough to not just necessarily be a yes man to what is being discussed, but who is actually going to advocate on behalf of the profession and really establish our grounds, if you will, so that we have earned the respect of our physician colleagues, our physical therapist colleagues, and other members of the healthcare team.
Dr. Grant, us being undergrad students and the next generation of nurses, that's very meaningful advice. So thank you for that. Now that we acknowledged our students, what advice would you give to seasoned faculty and nurse leaders as the profession continues to welcome what we hope to be historic numbers of new and diverse nurses?
That's a really great question, and I would encourage the faculty to do what my faculty did. As students, I'm sure you probably have, if you haven't, you will be, but you will probably be tasked to go to a meeting of the local district state nurses association, or to attend the state nurses association meeting, and et cetera. It was drilled in my head from day one when I was a junior in nursing school. My junior year of university, that's when, just like, as you're going to be concentrating on nursing. But my nursing professors were astute and smart enough that they kept drilling into our head that if you're going to call yourself a professional nurse, then you get involved, within your professional organizations. And those three that I named earlier, your state nurses association, the American Nurses Association, and whatever specialty of nursing you're going into, those are three that you should start with. But we were given the assignment to go to the district state nurses association meeting. And yes, we saw our instructors there, or our professors there, but they weren't there just with a pen and pencil to see which one of the students showed up. They were there either chairing committees, they were up at the microphone asking those challenging questions. In other words, they were showing us how it should be done. So that you begin to just automatically think that, yeah, this is where I belong, and this is what I'm supposed to do in order to be a professional nurse. And so it was no fluke that when I graduated, opening up my diploma cover, and there was an application to the North Carolina Nurses Association, and I knew that I had to fill that out. It was a no-brainer that yes, that's the next logical step. And then once you became a member of the State Nurses Association, again, you become an active member. As I like to express, there's a difference between having your name on the roster and being an active member. It's that active member who's going to be involved with what's going on, who's going to be paying attention to what piece of legislation that may be being considered by the policymakers that's either going to affect your ability to practice as a registered nurse or even as an advanced practice nurse, or it's going to affect the people that we care for, people in our community, the patients that we care for as well, or maybe in some instance, the air, the water. When you think of the social determinants of health, again, that's nursing as well, because we need to use our voice to let our legislators know that without clean drinking water, without clean air and et cetera, there's going to be that domino effect on people who are easily subjected to illnesses and things. So again, that's what I would encourage the professors to do, is to set or model what it is that you expect your students to do. And part of that modeling is being active within the profession and letting your students see that, so that they too, when they graduate, will be active as well. And even as students, hopefully you've joined, like your Student Nurses Association, or, your local Men in Nursing chapter. Kudos to you for having that. You're doing, what should be done. And, even with this recording, is letting those who are going to see this recording know that, hey, this is what it means to be a professional nurse, is that I get involved. I pay attention to issues that are out there and ask, what can I do, even in my role as a student or in my role as a professional nurse, what can I do to make the situation better than the way that I found it?
Thank you, Dr. Grant. That was our last question. So thank you for answering all our questions. We appreciate your insight and experience. Your wisdom is going to be impactful to our school and whoever else listens to this video. I'm sure they're going to be inspired by this. Hopefully they do take a seat at that table. They do use their voice, and they advocate for themselves, for their patients, and for the greater good of everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, though, we wanted to ask you a few fun quick fire questions if you're up for
Okay.
it. Perfect. Leo's going to go ahead and get us started off.
All right, Dr. Grant, are you more productive in the morning or at night?
Oh, morning. I'm one of those weird persons. I go to bed about 8:30 at night, but I'm up at 4, and I get more work done between 4 and 7 than I do the whole day.
I wish we were like that, but
I'm also an old man too, so.
How do you unwind after a busy day?
Uh, there's several things that I do, but mostly I love to play music. Either put a good classical tape in, or I also am classically trained to play the piano and organ. So sometimes just doing that as well.
Dr. Grant, what is your favorite book or movie?
Oh, my favorite movie is Amadeus, without a doubt. And you probably have never heard of it, but I would strongly encourage you to watch it. It's about the life of Mozart, and was written back in the early '80s, I think. But to me, it's a timeless classic. A second one is Blazing Saddles as well. So.
Dr. Grant, if you could describe your nursing journey in one word, what would it be?
Awesome.
Awesome. I hope the same for myself and Leah.
Yeah.
Dr. Grant, our final question, I've been meaning to ask you, who is the greatest basketball player of all time? LeBron or MJ? Or maybe someone that you have of your own?
No, MJ without a doubt. I mean, let's face it, he started it all, right? I mean, LeBron is just a copy of him, but yeah, without a doubt. Plus, he was also at the University of North Carolina when I was there as well. But yeah, without a doubt, Michael Jordan.
MJ's the trailblazer.
Yes, absolutely.
That's it, Dr. Grant. Thank you so much for your time and all that you continue to contribute to the field of nursing. You're such an inspiration to us and so many others. We wish you another 30 years in the profession.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. And to those who may be watching this and to you as well, I wish you all the best as you start your nursing career and hope that your career is going to be as rewarding and challenging as all of my years within the profession.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all.